Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, we look into their unseen universal wisdom, their grace, their light, their love, and we go as guided. And so this is a very unique episode, and I say that because of the theme. And what was taking place is a couple of days ago, I sat down and I was looking at the numbers and everything, as we do each week. We look at the numbers. I was looking to see the corresponding hexagrams, and everything was reading this kind of just flat. It was reading like, been there, done that. You know, we've covered it. And so I said, I finally just said, okay, what's the theme for this week's show? And what I received was Hark the Herald, Angels Sing. And a herald angel is an intermediary between God and mankind that relates important news to humanity about upcoming events. And so you can see in the image on your screen, the angels, the trumpets, this Hark the Herald, Angels Sing. And so I was like, okay. And I sat with that for a while. And then it all started coming together because, in essence, this is a moment we've been building and crescendoing and moving towards a moment where something new is afoot, something new occurs. And there's massive change. I'm sure in your individual lives, I personally can see it with clients and friends and colleagues and everything. I mean, really massive change that's happening in their lives. And the point of the change, which was very apparent, outsider looking in, is the change is there as the impetus to expand, to broaden, to levitate, meaning to lift up, to make each person greater, bigger, more empowered, higher. And so while the changes may be challenging, and while we see what's playing out on the world stage may be challenging, it fits in brilliantly with this Hark the Herald, Angels Sing, and the two hexagrams that we're going to be working with, which are a little bit confusing, but they are the last two hexagrams of the I Ching, which is hexagram 63, which is after completion, and hexagram 64, which is the last hexagram of the I Ching, is known as before completion. So 63 is after completion. 64, the last one, is before completion. And you want to crisscross them. You want to move them, but you'll see how and why They're playing a role. And the overall message here for us in our individual lives and so forth is it's a 7-year. It is that divine completion. Here, I'm going to bring this up on our screen. It is that foundation of God's word. It's about divine fulfillment, divine completion, divine perfection. And there's a signaling. And next month, July, this is the last show of June of 2023. Next month is a double dipping of 7. It's both a 7-month, a 7-year. And so we're going to see how this all plays out. However, and welcome everyone as you're joining from around the globe. Welcome, Anne, Alicia, Colleen, and Olivia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And again, we take your comments and questions live throughout the broadcast. So as this is hitting, how is change? Are you experiencing change in your lives? Put it in the comments. Are you witnessing it in others' lives? Are you seeing it playing out and you're bearing witness to it? Just put a shout out. And how are you dealing with the change? Because again, it's all about walking with grace. Grace and ease. Grace and ease. So let's jump in to the main energies here. So this week we are dealing with, and we have all month, the 6th. Last year was a 6th, this conflict or destiny, and about letting go. This is all about, and you see further down on your screen, 23, split apart to regenerate. That splitting apart. So 6 is about not being in conflict with the new. The old is over, the new has arrived, and it's to not be in conflict. It's to be in destiny with it. It's to let go. 28 is the day, 28 is critical mass, adjust, reaching a crescendo point, reaching a completion, a fulfillment. The 28 also becomes a 10, which is about treading, cautious advance. So again, we're moving in a way, and they're saying tread, to move, to walk, to move, to advance. And it's cautious advance, meaning to be alert, to be conscientious, to be mindful. And so those aspects are playing. It's a 7-year. So this army and legions about correct discipline, and also the 7 in terms of divine fulfillment and completion. But 7 is really that beauty of we have everything we need. So don't tell yourself a story or fool yourself into believing that you don't have everything you need. You do. The 23, and then the entire day, 6/28/2023 becomes a 23. So we got double 23s, and then so a doubling down on this splitting apart from the old. The unseen is really saying to us, and I'm seeing the number 5 for a moment. 5 denotes change here, and it's the number 5, nourished while waiting. It's what it culminates in, and it's to have patience. It is to double down and to know the new is upon us. The new is arriving. You're going to see why it may not look like it in the moment with the hexagram 63 and 64, but it is about going as guided and having a greater, because the first thing they said, I'm going to tie this in right now. The first thing they said is, I once was lost, but now I am found. Reconnecting to source. And that is from Luke 15:10. 15 is about humility. 10, treading, cautious advance. And so the point of this story, Hark the Herald Angels saying, after completion, before completion, I was once lost, but now I am found. Reconnecting to source. The point of that message, biblically, but also spiritually here now in the show, is what they were speaking to us about is we're each responsible for finding ourselves, for finding our way back to soul source connection, back to self. And in Luke, it speaks to the fact that that God, source, is happy to find the 1 in 100, the 1 in 10 that was lost that returns. Because, and yet we're only responsible for ourselves. So in essence, the moral of that story is be the 1 in 10. Be the one that finds yourself again, that finds your soul source connection, that lives with it, leads with it, cherishes it, embraces it, because that's where you're going. And that dictates your experience. So that piece is there. Let me just bring in Colleen's comment. Mine seems to be a struggle, laughing out loud. No grace or ease here, laughing out loud. Well, yes, it's the changes that are going on, Colleen, and for a lot of people, it's like a crescendo. It's like they're showing me somebody just bong, 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 bong on the drums. It's a very loud crescendo because it has to do with chaos. And so to find grace and ease and the humor in it and everything requires more of us. It really does require us to kind of step back for a moment to be able to see or find the grace in it, or the ease, or the humor, or the levity, the truth. So it is because the crescendo right now is loud. It is really loud. And yet, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, there's an intermediary between God and mankind, humankind, that relates. And Elizabeth Jones, she's an incredible astrologer, tarot reader, and so forth. And approximately 3 months ago, in one of her shows, and I'll see if I can find it and I'll post it in the comments, she speaks to this very fact about trumpets. And she says, this isn't your neighbor blaring a horn, down the street or down the block. This is spiritual, celestial event, occurrence, where this announcement, this awareness comes to us. And that's tying in with this. That's she's speaking about that time. Let's go to so we know our main theme, we know the main energies, and let's go to our mantra really quickly. And you can see angel theme here going on. I listen to the wisdom of my soul. That is the way. That is the way that's going to get us through. It's going to make everything, it's going to allow us, as Colleen was speaking to, it's going to allow us to find the grace and ease and find the truth. And there's a beauty, look how, just the beauty and the radiance of this celestial event, celestial angel. I listen to the wisdom of my soul. And the beauty in the wisdom of your soul is it knows all. It is all knowing. The soul is all knowing. Ego, mind, personality, not so much, but it sure tries. And again, we need a healthy ego, mind, and personality. So it's not about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You hear me say this time and time and time again. It is to retain the very best of us. The soul, of course, all knowing, and then the very best of our experiences. And this came up, I did a private group reading last night for 6 women. And there was a beauty in the messaging about this going as guided, yes, but it's not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because it is to take the very best of us. So divine masculine, divine feminine, it is to bring about the very best, to bring that with us, because everywhere we go, there we are. Well, it's about harmonizing and the balance of this. And there was a point that I wanted to make about that, and it flew in and flew out. So when it comes back in, I'll bring it back to you. You gotta love when that happens. There's the universe being funny, and but there was a profound point in the group. There were many profound points in the group reading last night, and how the unseen tapestry is weaving between us. So let me, and it'll come back. So let me jump into hexagram 63, because really we're going to focus the bulk of the show today on hexagram 63 and 64, because they're so powerful. They sum up, and let me bring this into item number 2. They said, and I'm feeling this personally, so place in the comments if you're feeling it too, but they said, be weary not, for salvation is at hand, exclamation point. And salvation is in regards to God's grace. It also is about the preservation or deliverance from harm or pain. So they're saying, be weary not, because I was literally like, ooh, just feeling worn out and tired. And they said, be weary not, for salvation is at hand. God's grace is at hand. Preservation or deliverance from harm, ruin, pain, these types of things. Barbara is saying the soul knows. Yes, exactly. The soul knows. The soul is all knowing. It leads. And that was a part of last night as well, was, the soul is true north. It is our internal compass. And the ego mind personality can pull us out of whack, pull us off path, off course. And it is up to us to allow, release, and pull and allow it to come back to center, allow it to come back to true north. So let's jump in with hexagram 63. And again, 63 is the second to the last hexagram in the I Ching. It's known as after completion. It's very strange. After completion. Its action is to renew. The interesting thing is, in hexagram 63, the hidden influence and the underlining cause are both the last hexagram, hexagram 64, known as before completion, with its action, prepare. And so it says, many people find it odd that after completion is a principle that precedes before completion in the Book of Changes. Perhaps the hexagrams were arranged in this way to remind us that nothing ever comes to an end. The message of after completion is that while the situation appears to be stable and in order, you need to plan for inevitable changes that will continue to occur. So we're not talking about the time we're experiencing right now, because it says they were arranged in this way because perhaps the situation appears to be stable and in order. That would be maybe pre-2016. Leading up to 2016, life appeared to be, we know what we're doing, we know where we're going, everything seems ordinary, customary. There was a sense of a state of being stable and in order. And that it reminds us, this hexagram reminds us that nothing ever comes to an end. The message is that while the situation appears to be stable and in order, you need to plan for inevitable changes that will continue to occur. So 2016 on, massive changes. I mean, look at election, COVID, world order, a war, these changes. And the point, though, is that because what this is speaking to is the Piscean patriarch era is complete. And so we have this moment, it's this climax where what was is complete. So this after completion. What happens after completion? 63. And what happens before completion? 64, hexagram 64. And that we need to plan for the inevitable changes that continue to occur. When anything in nature achieves its highest expression or stability, it moves towards disorder and regeneration. So we reach the height and the fullness and the completion of the divine masculine, patriarch, Piscean era. And then we move, so that stability goes away, and it moves towards disorder, disarray, and regeneration. And we, one could say, are in the height of disorder, disarray, and yet ultimately regeneration, renewal, because it's moved into the matriarchal Aquarian rule. It may be that while you are inquiring about what you're inquiring about has reached a state of finality or completion, as the hexagram is also called already across. You might not want to hear it, but there may have been a completion or a closure that you missed. This is also speaking to everyone we were talking about the changes, right? Massive changes. There's an awareness that who we were, who we are, who we were, what we did, how we do it is all done, complete. We are being asked to change, to advance, to evolve. And so it's, have we missed a completion or a closure? I'm very aware for myself with Dearjames, Wrap Yourself in Goodness, the whole thing. It's changing. Somehow it's going to be completely different. I'm very aware of this. You may also be aware of this in your personal lives. People, places, things, occupations, friendships, relationships, that somehow who you are, what you do, how you do it, where you do it, is all changing. And because, as I spoke to at the top of the hour, that change is about up-leveling us, advancing us, expanding us, so that we come out in a whole new way, because it's a whole new era. It's a whole new time. It's a whole new way. So the hidden influence of before completion suggests that you examine where you are, but plan for the future. So it's like, you know what you know until you know. It's about being aware of what I just spoke about. I am where I am right in this moment, and I'm keenly aware things are going to change. How that's going to change, how it's going to change, is unknown to me. But it's not, but the change is not. 1 second here. Pardon me, I had to cough. The same hexagram shows up as the underlining cause, which is another method to prepare. You may think that the situation is never going to change. I mean, we can look on the world stage, we can see things and see where we are and think it's never going to change, but it will. You may think that you can rest on your laurels and enjoy your complacency, but you can't. It is important that you understand that in nature, everything is in a state of renewal. While everything is in order and you can feel a sense of success or arrival, you are urged to remain cautious. There's that treading, number 10, treading, cautious advance. Anything that reaches a climax will begin to move in the opposite direction. So this is literally the Wheel of Fortune, the world card. It's changing. It's like, if you like the look of things, wait, it's going to change. If you don't like the look of things, wait, it's going to change. We're at this major change point. Hark the Herald angels sing. And they said after completion, before completion. While the situation appears to be complete, a new goal or a need for further growth and expansion opportunities will ensure that it doesn't become stagnant. Because we're not meant to die on the vine. We're meant to thrive. You are meant to thrive. And so it's about not becoming stagnant. And it is about not missing the opportunity. And it's about not allowing yourself to become complacent. Because again, the one thing that, right there, life and death are guaranteed in this existence. And the other constant guarantee is change. And so it's to become comfortable with change, to allow it, to see through the surface, to get to the deeper, broader, deeper, higher meaning of things, of your experiences. Water over fire means that you must tend to it so the water doesn't burn out or evaporate. All things require care and attention to continue in a constant state of wellness. The individual lines in this hexagram address the different stages one will encounter when going from completion to renewal. Something has crystallized and made it, and it may be time to embark in a new direction. So this whole hexagram 63, and it talks about order, chaos, then order again. So Piscean era. So coming into, when they came into the Piscean era, look back historically, chaos. They didn't want to leave the preceding era. It's the beast you know. You know what you know until you know. So that order transition to chaos, then we cut into the Piscean era, and then we get the height of it, and we see the wisdom and the goodness, the stability of the order of everything. We understand it. We understand how to do things. I've said this many times about myself. I have known, I knew how to do that. I did it very well. And then it's like you're yanked out of it, and they're said to you, that's over, you're going this way, now advance. And so that becomes chaos, confusion. So in your own lives, where are you aware that what you knew, people, places, things, relationships, career, opportunity, you knew them and now it's not working? Or you can feel that it's dying on the vine, it's getting stagnant, and you're being, quote unquote, forced to advance, to change, to split apart from, to release. Because the new order of things, the new way, the new order has arrived. Let me bring in Jennifer's comment. I know that we are concentrating on current energies, but I think that this ties into what you're talking about. I think it's important, essential to be true to oneself and follow one's path, always. But I would really love to hear, pardon me, some dialogue about emotional responsibility to those, to those with whom we have relationships, whether amicable, romantic. In other words, I believe that many people use the I have to take care of myself, I can't control someone else takes in my stuff, which is true to a certain extent, except that when we pledge emotional responsibility to another, we are either acting responsibly or provoking the other party. In other words, it has become a cop-out, a way of dissolving one's role in a relationship. What do you think? No, you got to go back to, so in what Jennifer is speaking to, you've got to go back to the beginning. And the beginning is we are only ever responsible. We are always our brother's keeper, our brother, sister's keeper, which means we do right by ourselves, which means we're doing right by others. We come into relationship, again, it doesn't matter, what form of relationship. In this example, whether it's platonic or romantic, and the point though is we have to go back to the intention. How did we enter this relationship? Under what intention? Because the intention will reveal the hardship. It will reveal things to us, for us, not the other person. That other person, it's incumbent on them to do the same thing. And it's okay, she's talking about, sorry about the bad typing, it's okay, it happens. So, but this is a big point here, because this moment is asking us, I was once lost, but now I am found. It's asking us to find ourselves, our soul source connection. We can do that in reciprocity and in the reflection of relationship. However, it is not our job to do it for someone else. It will never happen. You can be everything Herculean in your efforts. You can be the most cherished individual in soul and be in front of another that's not receiving it, not getting it, because they're not ready, or for whatever reason they're not. So it's in that sense, we're simply to be it with ourselves, for ourselves. It's not a cop-out. It's understanding the intention that brought you to the relationship so that you see yourself more clearly. You see what's on offer by this other person. And when you've gained the lesson for yourself, release, split apart. 23, release, split apart. Because you see your own truths. You see the purity of your soul and of the journey, and of why you came to this person, why you're leaving this person, what this person afforded you. But it's the power, they're saying to me, it's the power of one. It is the power of being whole and complete within yourself. So that then when you mirror up with someone, anyone, again, any form of relationship, you are whole and complete as you are. Everyone is whole and complete. It's just to what degree do we recognize and understand that and live that truth. That's the truth. And thereby, this is how relationships, because we want, people, you want to save, you want to say, well, if I only just, if we just do this, and if we just do that, and if I, and if I, and if I, and by the time you get to this place of be weary not, for salvation is at hand, we get weary, we get tired. And yet we can release ourselves from that and say, got it, I got it. And so Jennifer is saying the new order is exactly that. And then I get it, I'm done. Thanks for confirming where my mind went. Deliverance, you're at hand. And the one that delivers you is you. That's just a truth. And that's for everyone. That is a truth. Colleen was talking about earlier that with the grace and ease, we deliver ourselves the grace and ease. I know it can be hard and challenging. I know it can be, you feel like the world is coming at you. And yet when you just step back, take a walk, pivot, you deliver the grace and ease you need in the moment. And that doesn't mean that at times it may not be someone else that walks upon our path or we interact with that smiles at us or does something that affords us grace and ease or reminds us of it. Because there's another word that was really foundational in last night's group reading, and it was the word joy. And it was to remember the joy in life. It is to remember when we invoke joy, it transcends, it changes us. Barbara's adding, is the soul and me in human form two different things? You are, so Barbara, and for everybody listening, we are a soul in a body, having a human experience. And this is why everything is purposeful. The soul knows before it ever incarnates in its discarnate form, it's planning the whole show, it's planning the whole experience. And yes, it comes with many different possibilities, probabilities, and so forth. However, the soul incarnates into a physical form. And it's very interesting, right? The form comes in, so the shell, the form, the vessel. And it's why then we're to take care of the vessel, because it is the thing that is quote unquote left behind, the shell, the human form. However, the human form is being created and utilized by the soul. And that's why everything from sex, gender, height, hair color, nationality, all of these variations of quote unquote the human form are truly variations that the soul brought in, created, co-created, to have this human experience. And so the way that the human form is an extension of the soul, because it's created with the soul, by the soul, to effectuate the human experience in this particular incarnation. And it brings in past life, what I call bleed through elements. So that also comes in. Former lives, former strands, and it brings it all into the current one to say, with all of this melting pot, the human form, the soul, the ego, mind, personality, all of this together will effectuate the highest experience. And it's up to us to recognize we've been in a patriarchal rule. This ego, mind, personality, creative force, male, divine masculine way for 2,000 plus years. And it's changing. It has changed. It is now in Aquarian matriarchal. So it is intuitive, all-knowing, soul leads. The soul, ego, mind, personality, and the soul, the heart, they're integrated. They're one. And that's what this is speaking to, this Hark the Herald Angels sing, this announcement. The announcement is this separation is going to be unified. It's going to be unity, not community. Unity, one. It's going to be integrated. Great questions, great ads, everyone. Thank you. So here it's talking about, while the current situation suggests a high degree of order, this is pre-2016, life's pursuits of change means that in time, disorder will emerge. Here we are, disorder will emerge. After completion is like a kettle of water over a fire. Too much heat and it boils over, extinguishes the fire, or the water evaporates. The sage understands the small relationships existing between elements and guards against misfortune by not growing complacent. See, this is where we get lazy, we get complacent. We're riding the high of, oh, this all works and we understand it, and that means we let our guard down. That means we're not tending to our soul, to our divine nature, to the good of all, is what they're saying. And they say, so sometimes it is better, quote, to just stop in time. Well, we didn't just stop in time. And in this instance, we were not meant to, because it's a massive change. It's a massive transition that we're moving to. And so they said, like the adaptive variations that remain dormant until we need them, knowing the condition that might arise after, life prepares us for the condition before it comes. So this is speaking to the fact that we are being prepared. So 2016 to in these last 7 years, we're being prepared for the new. We're aware, and in order for the new order, the new calm to arrive, the breaking apart, the dismantling, the disorder of the previous calm and order has to go away. And so we're experiencing it, we're seeing it, and they're making us aware of what's happening. The master said, thus the sage takes thought of misfortune to arm against it in advance. It's to know, oh, this is coming. Okay, let me arm myself in advance. And arming myself means, let me be more pliable, more receptive. Let me go from what was fixed to what is fluid. Let me ride the wave of change, not be pummeled by it. Because we have a choice. You will be armed against misfortune by your willingness to see the eternity in the end. Remember, the arc of destiny is forward. The ideal becomes the new reality. The change is here. It's happened. Look back historically. Pardon me. You can see that it has occurred before. So you will be armed against misfortune by your willingness, your proactiveness, your willingness to see the eternity in the end. The result of it, the forward arc of it. And it's your willingness to see that, accept it, make room for it, allow for it, cleanse, pure, release, split apart, that allows this. Nothing in nature comes to a standstill. It always transforms. While something may be over or at its final stages, know that a new way is also emerging. It couldn't be more clear. Approaching the conclusion to the Book of Changes, one immediately notices how the last two principles appear to be backwards. 63, 64. They appear to be backwards. It would seem that after completion should follow before completion. However, this principle describes both the certainty and uncertainty that arises after each ending. Perhaps the principles were organized in this way to remind us that life is not linear, but is moving back and forth in an endless cycle of renewal. First, good order prevails, and then in the end, disorder. This is simply how life moves toward harmony or dissolution. But the power of nature is always productive. It takes shape as the only principle where all the lines, so the after completion, hexagram 63, takes shape as the only principle where all the lines in the hexagram are in their proper places. Although it is also the image where peace or oblivion might lead to standstill. So in hexagram 63, pre-2016, we reach this arc, this moment, where everything is in its proper order. Everything makes sense. We understand everything. And then here comes this wrecking ball. Apply that as you will. Here comes this wrecking ball. Because in order to make way for the new, The old is dismantled. We enjoyed the height of knowing. We enjoyed the height and the harmony, the balance, the joy of it, the simplicity of it. We did it. It was why at the top of the hour I said to you, I'm looking at all the numbers, like been there, done that. What are we? And that's when it came. Hark the Herald Angels sing. Boom. They're denoting a change, and the change denotes order to chaos to order. It is inevitable that when order reaches its peak, it will dissolve into disorder. The Master said, do not make plans. Do not be absorbed by activities. Do not think that you know. Be aware of all that is and dwell in the infinite. Wander where there is no path. Be empty. That is all. You can't fill a full cup. You can only fill an empty cup, an empty vessel. This 23 split apart. It's by releasing. It's where we wander where there is no path. It's to be comfortable in the uncertainty. It's to be comfortable in the unknown. That's what this is speaking to. When one stands still at the end, disorder arises because the way comes to an end. The old way may come to an end, but life moves ever onward. So this is about releasing the old. It's about letting go. It's about being okay with that, because what happens? Oh, there's all this new. There's a new you. There's a new we. There's a new us. There's a new it. And yes, time, we move ever onward. The old order of things, the old way, goes away. The new order arises and arrives. Keeping the fire burning without allowing the water to evaporate takes great skill and perseverance. Transcending a sense of opposites suggests the creative power inherent in each paradox. Don't be too quick to judge the situation hastily. Perhaps what you thought was complete is just a new beginning. And so this is where, like I said to you, with each of us, I'm very aware of this for everyone. And certainly with myself, I'm aware. Something ends, it's complete, it's finished. So in my example, Dearjames, and the way that it was done and delivered or initiated and started is complete. It doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater. It just means what was, how it started, what was is complete. To Jennifer's point, in a relationship or where it was, what it was, why it was, is complete for you. Doesn't matter what the other person is doing. For you, it's whole and complete. Now you're making room by shedding, unlayering, laying down, splitting apart. You're making space for the new, which is a return to connecting to source, soul source connection. Because once I was lost, now I am found. And the only one that can do that for you is you. That's true for all of us. It's really quite, and so this is a very interesting time of this hexagram 63, which is the second to the last, after completion. After completion, because the prior era is complete. So it's telling us that disorder, chaos, is going to come before the new. And here we are. So now to hexagram 64. Hexagram 64, before completion. And its hidden influence and underlying cause is the preceding hexagram 63, after completion. It's to renew, which is prepare. And Jennifer is saying, oh, those damn hexagrams. Exactly. And yet, how beautiful. Welcome, Kim. So there are some beautiful quotes that go with, and if I could see which one it is, let's see. I'm going to bring something up on my screen. It's about, sorry, I'm looking, there's three of them and I'm trying to bring up the right one. Let's see if I got it here. Yes, okay, and I used the image from last week because it is the spiral of the shell. It represents the ongoing. And it says, you are always on the threshold of change. How you approach it will determine your success. This is from Carrie Hone at cafeosoul.com. I would alter this quote to say, you are always on the threshold of change. How you approach it will determine your experience. Not necessarily your success, it will determine your experience. So how you approach change determines your experience. And this quote, I absolutely love. It is, we sometimes get all of the information, but we refuse to get the message. This is a quote by Cullen Hightower. There's an incorrect, I forgot to change it to Cullen Hightower. It says that it's Carrie Hone. It's not, it's Cullen Hightower. But we sometimes get all of the information, but we refuse to get the message. And the image that came was this message in a bottle. If we don't get the message, we never get the wisdom. We may have all the information, but we refuse to get the message that's contained within the bottle, that's there for our taking. And there is a third quote, which I will get to in a moment. So it says here, Murphy's Law states that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and your current situation can feel much like this. The word entropy, and I want to just say, entropy is a lack of order or predictability, gradual decline into disorder. So you can see they're telling us, here we are, hexagram 64, before completion, which is after completion, because the previous era, order, is complete. So now before completion, entropy captures the footprint of time and how it makes even the most organized structures crumble. It takes a lot of energy to work against nature's predisposition for random, disorder, chaos, and eventual renewal. So look in the world stage. Look how much energy is being put forth, expelled, to keep things the way it is, when the natural order of things is to go from order to chaos to order. It's like you can't push an elephant up a hill. It doesn't work. You can't stop time. You can't freeze time or keep things in the way it was, because the natural order of things, the arc of destiny, moves forward. But we can see how much energy is being put forth to try and keep the old order, and yet it's futile. Human beings are self-organizing systems like most organisms observed in nature. We are constantly attempting to make sense out of chaos. We prefer to classify what we see in terms of the past, and this tendency can lead to a rude awakening. I mean, we see things in hindsight. We're reactive, we're not proactive. We don't respond, we react. And so that can leave us in a state of a rude awakening, and yet the previous hexagram is telling us, see, we're arming you with forward knowledge, with advanced wisdom, advanced knowledge, so that you're ready for the time that appears, so that you're not in a state of a rude awakening. When we hear that the universe is moving toward entropy or disorganization, this makes us uncomfortable. Yes, because it's the unknown. It's uncertain. It's unknown. It's not the beast we know. And so, yes, it's making us uncomfortable. However, molecules moving inside a box randomly are more dynamic than molecules locked in perfect order. So when our natural selves, molecules moving inside of a box randomly, meaning moving with the flow, soul source connection, going as guided, they are more dynamic than molecules locked in a perfect order, in a rigid formation. Quite interesting. Disorder increases energy and innovation. In the situation, after completion, the situation had reached completion and order became apparent. Before completion, the situation is in a state of disorganization or chaos, but order will inevitably return. Better yet, because of the disorganization or unknown aspects of this current situation, you will probably achieve more than you had originally set out to do. See, this change, they're stripping us, splitting apart. They are stripping us because they gave me, as part of this, as an overall theme to this, adding greater depth and beauty, a whole new world. This is about the change is going to strip you so that you will be far more than what you thought or aspired to or strive towards. It is this, because the unknown and the disorganization, you will probably achieve more than you had originally set out to do. Such is the way of nature that it uses uncertainty to test all possible outcomes. You may need to live with the uncertainty because the situation is still in a state of evolution. After completion, as both the underlying cause and the hidden influence guarantee that order is on the horizon, no matter how unsettling things appear now. It's a fait accompli. It's a done deal that order will follow uncertainty, unknown, chaos, disorder, because that is the rhythm, the cycle. And the reason in this upcoming one, coming into the matriarchal age of Aquarius, is because we're adding the unseen, Spirit Source Symphony, is adding greater depth and beauty to our experience. It's returning to us, this greater depth and beauty, this whole new world. Before completion, disorder or a lack of security and ease can become quite pronounced, but given time, energy will dissipate and uncertainties will gel into a clear picture of the way forward. This is speaking to exactly this moment. Before completion, disorder or a lack of security and ease can become quite pronounced. It looks like it's just everything's going to hell in a handbag. It's rolling back to the 1950s. It's just disorder and chaos and disunity and attacking, denigrating and attacking and dehumanizing. It's chaos and disorder. And it can reach a high level, that boom, 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 the drums on the bass drum. However, given time and energy, it will dissipate, and the uncertainties will gel into a clear picture of the way forward. The way forward. We can say anything that can go wrong will go wrong, but just as easily, we can say that anything that can go right will go right. So it's a choice. And I love the latter. I love that we can say anything that can go right will go right, because that affords us opportunity, advancement, joy, intrigue, possibility. The Book of Changes is always teaching us that what we experience is a matter of perspective. The rules of the game that we can measure are what is observable in nature. So the rules of the game is we have both what we can see, tangible, touch, proven, and what supersedes that, the unseen, that when we go as guided, soul source connection leads us to far greater experiences because it's not limited. Since disorder and uncertainty are at its thrust into a purposeful future, trust that all is unfolding perfectly. Remember, everything's purposeful. So we're being thrust, the disorder and uncertainty thrust us into a purposeful future. Trust that all is unfolding perfectly and the unexpected may still be on the horizon. Don't give up just yet. There's that be weary not, for salvation, God's grace, salvation is at hand. The preservation or deliverance from something, from harm, from ruin, from something. This is the other beautiful quote, and I absolutely love it. When the end unfolds, open to the new beginning. This is true in the most micro of our personal lives. It can be the end of a job, an end of a relationship, the end of a location, the end of something. When the end unfolds, open to the new beginning. Well, this is equally true for the macro, which is the end of the Piscean era, to the unfoldment, the opening of the Aquarian, the matriarchal era. And it's to open to the new beginning. And it's a choice. We speak about this all the time. It's a choice. Kim is saying anything that can go right will go right. Love it. I have a very big day tomorrow, looking to resolve the chaos. Find in this moment, Kim, recognize that anything that can go right will go right, and whatever is right will be is right for you. Even if it seems like it's not, sit with it and find the rightness in it. It is that other quote. Remember when they said, if there is no rightness, there can be no clarity if there is no rightness. I'm paraphrasing. And Jennifer, before we continue on, Jennifer is saying sometimes it's just a little disappointing when you trade the hope that you had for the potential joy. Necessary, but still, the transition is a jolt sometimes. Surprising. Yes. However, how rewarding. Because in some way, to what Jennifer is speaking about, it was a purposeful version of yourself, and yet potentially a lesser version of yourself. And so you are, and while the transition, the letting go, the reality of that, the recognition of it, the ownership of it, it leads to the joy of it, because you're saying to yourself, I see me, I see myself, and I want this level of me way up here, not this level of me right here. And the only one that affords you that transition, that transcendence, is you. Other people are just showing up to mirror to you. And that's true for all of us. And so, yes, is the transition, is it disappointing? Yes. Because we could have thought, wow, this is really it. And wow, this is so amazing. Only to find out it's a smoldering heap. Okay. However, it's what we do with that smoldering heap. It's what we do with that truth, the recognition of it ourselves. And to recognize, and you hear me use this a lot, do I have a partner at the dance? If I don't have a partner at the dance, then this is my dance. This is for me. As much as it may be for someone else, if you're not at the dance, if you're not even participating, or you're refusing to participate, or you're not getting the message in the bottle, that's you. I'm getting the message in the bottle. I recognize I don't have a partner at the dance. I recognize why I came to this experience. And while that may be painful, and the transition and all of the change, it all screams joy for the person that's getting the message in the bottle. Because it means you got it. You got your soul's lesson. You got your soul's journey. You're choosing it. And that leads to joy, because it leads to renewal. After the chaos is order. Continuing on, and I'll come back to Olivia and Colleen in a second here. Things cannot exhaust themselves. Hence, follows at the end the principle of before completion. In after completion, the highest order inevitably led to the onset of disorder, symbolized by the highest display of summer that transforms into swirling winds of autumn. Before completion embodies the opposite condition, where disorder will lead back to order. Like the chaotic storms of early spring, the landscape of spring is being composed. So the landscape of the matriarchal Aquarian age, that new order, a whole new world, the landscape of spring is being composed. Disorder can suggest how circumstances appear beyond your ability to control. Left to develop as it will, life will always work out. While uncomfortable, this goes to what Jennifer was just saying, while uncomfortable, not knowing where the changes are leading, disorder is the letting go. like leaves during autumn, which always precedes the springtime of your blossoming. See, this is about the disorder. It's the circumstances that appear beyond your control, because we can't control someone else. We can only control ourselves. We can only make choices for ourselves. Left to develop as it will, life will always work out. Your soul's journey, the course you're on, will take its path. It will twist and turn. It will go as you need to until you get the message in the bottle. And then it'll change. It'll course correct. While uncomfortable not knowing where the changes are leading, disorder is the letting go. Like the leaves of autumn, which always precede the springtime of your blossoming. So this just means we let go of that, we shed them, we let go of the leaves, we let all of that happen. Because what comes? Spring, renewal, the height of summer, the growth, the they're showing me, Jennifer, for you, the radiance of the sun upon you, the sunflower. That comes after the wilting of the leaves. That's beauty. That's beautiful. Within disorder is a dormant seed. Within disorder is a dormant seed, which will inevitably lead back to order. Where complacency often leads to stagnation, the tension of change is already at play, and it is better to follow where the changes might lead you. There is great power in knowing how situations evolve, moving back and forth. There's just such a beauty. So they're really arming us with the advanced wisdom, the message in the bottle, that the time is upon us. Hark the Herald angels sing, after completion and before completion. The old order is over, the new one is emerging, is upon us. I once was lost, but now I am found, reconnecting to source. Be weary not, for salvation, God's grace is at hand, preservation or deliverance from harm. The third thing they said was masquerading as fools. And remember, the Fool card is the first card in the tarot deck. Masquerading as fools, meaning we're masquerading as though we're veiled. We don't have the divine wisdom and knowledge that we are. So masquerading as fools. One is saved, the other not. It's about choice. So be the individual that returns to your soul. Be the individual that gets the message in the bottle. Be the individual that is making space for the new, that is surrendering the old, that is okay and comfortable with the change, with the uncertainty, with the unknown, because with it, there's that seed. In disorder is a dormant seed, meaning within you, there is a knowing that you know exactly where you're going. Like you're one with the advance, with the ideal, with the moving forward. It's present, it's just been dormant. Well, now the time is upon us to allow that dormant seed to spring forth, to sprout. Number 4, they said, peace be with you, and also with you. And this is where in the Catholic liturgy, I looked up, because this used to be part of the Mass and everything. Peace be with you, and also with you. It was a Latin to English translation. And they've just changed it most recently because they found that the translation was not accurate. It was, and also with your spirit. The true literal translation from the Latin to English would say your spirit. We're talking about your soul, your spirit. Peace be with you, and also with your spirit. It's and with you, but your spirit. And so they're again, this is all leading to peace. Order is peace. It's peaceful. It's harmony. It's balanced. Matriarchal role, the harmony and the unity of the two, of the divine masculine, divine feminine, and this whole new world. And then last but not least, and we've used this image a couple times, but I'm bringing it up because they changed it to a number 5, celebrate, rejoice, renew. That's what's on offer. That is where we are. That is what we will afford ourselves by being found, by choosing to be found. I'm going to place up both of the hexagrams in the show notes below and everything so you can read, as Jennifer said, oh, those hexagrams. They're really powerful, and they speak to this moment so perfectly. So I just wanted to leave off. Olivia said, just read about Jeff Bridges and how he got over COVID while receiving cancer treatment. The doctors told him to fight, but he meditated about it and realized he just needed to surrender. And then he began to get well. Exactly. How powerful. Thank you, Olivia, for sharing that. And Colleen saying that's wild. See, it's the surrender. It's not about expending all of that energy. I think I said expelling earlier. It's expending all of that energy to keep to stop time or to keep things the old. They're going. That's why there's such a crescendo of chaos right now, because the old order is over. It's done. It's completed. We enjoyed its harmony. We enjoyed its order. Now we're in disorder so that we can get to order, but it's the new order. It's the Aquarian age. It is the matriarchal rule. It is the harmony and balance. And it is about adding, the unseen saying to us, adding a greater depth and beauty to ourselves. It is that dormant seed, the greater depth and beauty of ourselves, our souls, our human experience, our vessels, everything about it. Adding a greater depth and beauty, a whole new world. And this celebrate, rejoice, renew. That's where we are. We're coming up next week. Next week, which is next month. Again, it's double sevens. So we will see what's on offer. Can't thank you again for all of you and your incredible comments and wisdom and presence, your energy. It's beautiful, and I am always so very thankful. So I look forward to seeing you all next week. Until then, be well and be gentle and kind with yourselves, and celebrate, rejoice, and renew.